Hello and welcome to Overanalysing Horror. Today we're talking Terrifier. Let's cut straight to the chase. Is Art Sienna's dad? No? Okay, thanks for watching. Really though, the theory that Art is Sienna's dad has been thrown around a lot. Honestly, the emotional impact of Art being Sienna's dad goes hard. He saw what was happening to himself and tried to give her the tools to stop him. It's giving the Ice King of Adventure Time, but with more blood. If the tumour and psychosis caused her dad to forget who he is, it might also explain Art's unconscious obsession with her. Tara from the first movie kinda does look similar to Sienna, and that's who he targets. Did Sienna's dad die in the car crash? Well, no body is usually almost always code for they're coming back. Sienna finding out Art is her dad and having to kill him would pack such a punch in the final film. It could also end up representing her defeating this intergenerational trauma and mental illness. We know she has symptoms of PTSD and psychosis, so she might need to defeat what's left of her father's influence to overcome that. To figure out if Art is Sienna's dad, we need to see if we have any clues at all as to who he is. We do have the scene in Terrifier 1 of him putting on his makeup, but it doesn't really show us much. The problem is, with his costume, we can't even tell hair colour. We know he's a skinny white man of indeterminate age. His eye colour changes as they are black in 1 and blue in 2 and 3. I'm gonna say they started black and changed as he became more demonic. So they have different eyes. First blow to the theory. Second blow, well, this Reddit poster said it best. Why wouldn't Jonathan especially have noticed some familiarity? Like if that's your dad and you have a psychic connection to him, surely you'd know. Also, they appear to have different heights and builds. Plus, Art is seemingly surprised and impressed by the sword Sienna's father gave her when he sees it. It's possible he could have completely forgotten who he is, but from a storytelling perspective, I would think if they wanted Art to be Sienna's dad, there would be some recognition. Then there's the big one. Damien Leone himself has debunked this theory.
None of it's true. It's BS. They made it up. They lie.
So why do people still like it? Well, like I said earlier, the emotional significance would be cool. But I think there's another way to bring in emotional weight and family ties without Art being her dad. And it's really simple. They both have to deal with him. Sienna's dad was essentially killed by Art, not directly, but indirectly, through probably being driven mad by visions of him. Now Sienna's up against the same thing that killed her dad, and she has to fight for her life and her family's life too. The fact her dad became mentally ill and crashed after drinking a bunch of whiskey might hint to this representing inherited addiction and mental illness. We know Sienna struggles with her mental state, and so did her dad, and both instances seem to have been caused by Art the Clown. So, is Art a manifestation of mental illness? Well, what's his name again? Art. Both Sienna and her father are artists and ended up struggling with psychosis like symptoms. Throughout history, there has been a link between artists and mental illness. Just think of Van Gogh. Art is one of humanity's ways of processing pain and trauma. It's an interesting idea, to be sure. I think it might have some truth in terms of the themes of the movies, but I'm also pretty sure that art isn't just an abstract representation. This is because of the newspaper clippings. Essentially, we learn of a girl called Emily Crane, who was mutilated in a circus and is thought by theorists to be the little pale girl that Art sees. That might be a hint to Art's actual backstory, whether that's his first kill or even the possibility that he's the girl's father and she was murdered by someone else and that's why he kills. I highly doubt that though, just because Damien Leone doesn't seem to want him to have a sympathetic backstory. At the end of the day, he's one of the evilest and most sadistic, bully ass killers to ever grace our screens, and his motivations, I'm sure, will either never be revealed or will be revealed to be worse than we thought. I mean, what's scarier? A guy with a traumatic backstory who started killing to deal with his feelings, or a guy who just does it because he thinks it's fun? A man so evil and without emotion or remorse that literal demons were like, yeah, let's recruit him. It's interesting, though, to note that we are explicitly shown that the little pale girl is only seen by certain people, e.g., Art, Sienna, and Jonathan. This means she could be a manifestation of insanity. Perhaps Art is someone whose combination of evil and insanity created a monster, whereas Sienna and Jonathan's goodness means they fight that darkness. I mean, let me ask you this. Why hasn't Art killed Sienna yet? He could have. I have no doubt about that. I mean, even at the end of Terrifier 3, when she's focused on her aunt's death, it probably wouldn't have been too difficult for either him or Vicky to just quickly end her life. It's like they want to punish her, drive her insane, break her. They do this by killing her aunt, throwing her cousin in hell, and killing her brother. I still don't think Jonathan's actually dead, but that's another story. Why go through all that trouble and not kill her? Even when she gets the upper hand in a fight, we know Art doesn't play fair. He just shot Tara because it was taking too long. So it kind of seems like he doesn't want to kill her. Now, there's two possible explanations for this. One, which is pretty believable, is that Sienna's been chosen by the good side, by holy spirits or angels who allowed her to heal at the end of Terrifier 3. So she can't be killed easily by Art like all his other victims. That's definitely a good explanation. There's also the possibility that Art just doesn't want to kill her. He wants to torture her and drive her as insane as he is. I mean, in Terrifier 2, we do not yet see evidence that she's been chosen by any higher power until towards the end. But she isn't killed by him. Sure, she has her sword, but the thing is, Art definitely had chances to kill her before then, hence why she armed herself. The only people to have gone up against Art and survived are Vicky, Jonathan, and Sienna. Vicky got possessed because she was driven so mad, and maybe that's the intent for Sienna. It's been intentionally shown that Sienna has been to some dark places mentally, and she's been struggling, obviously. But maybe she's just such a strong and good person, they haven't been able to break her yet. Maybe that's why she seems to have been chosen by a higher power to fight Art. Maybe her dad was supposed to defeat him, but wasn't strong enough. That would mean that them not killing her because they want her to be driven insane enough to possess, and a higher power making it harder to kill her, could both be true. It's kind of giving the story of Job in the Bible, like everything's been taken from Sienna. Her father, their mother, aunt, uncle, friends, then her brother and niece. The poor girl's been through it. In my previous video on Terrifier, I talked about the religious themes, and this definitely fits into it. There's also the fact that in Terrifier 3, Vicky says, "Let go so you can let me in." So the demons are trying to possess her. So back to the original question. If we know Art isn't Sienna's dad, and we don't know that much about him at all really, except that he's proficient with a chainsaw, then who is he? The thing is, what's brilliant is Leon has left enough mystery and loose ends for us to theorize like this. Having a bitch with a backstory is cool and all, but having a horror villain not even speak, and never seeing his true face or even a permanent lair, means we know so little about him and what he wants, that he's just a terrifying force of death and destruction. Take out the mystery, make him more human, and he's just an unmasked villain at the end of a Scooby Doo episode. Then again, for the very end of the franchise, that could be done in a satisfying way, right? Like, he's a bully. He shoots Tara the moment she's getting the upper hand because he doesn't play fair. He wants to scare and break you. He's also a coward, really, since when caught, he just shoots himself rather than get arrested. So wouldn't it be kind of nice for him to be unmasked and demystified at the end? Defeated by Sienna not only through her killing him, but proving that underneath it all, he really is just a guy
Hit him with your
who,
car!
without the help of demons, would already be dead. I guess it depends if we're getting a good ending or a dark ending. I thought since it's Terrified, the ending's got to be awful and brutal, but then again, Leon himself sees Art as a bully, so it's fully possible he wants him brought down a peg or two. Plus, Sienna's been set up to be one of the most powerful and badass final girls, and the reveal of her healing abilities at the end of Terrified 3 means the playing field should be a lot more level between her and Art. So, he's not her dad, but she might end up making him call her daddy by the end of all this. Going back to the little pale girl, what evidence do we have that Art could be her father? So, in this newspaper article, it states that 10-year-old Emily Crane was found mangled next to a makeup trailer. That's a very specific detail to point out. She is said to be the daughter of two prominent circus performers, who come from a long line of performers, including mimes. That cannot be a coincidence. Vomits Vodka on Reddit made an excellent observation about something I always thought felt weird and out of place. The scene in Terrifier where he sucks his thumb and is cradled by the cat lady with the doll, who was called Emily, by the way. It definitely seems like the cat lady is Emily's mother, and the whole thumb sucking thing suggests the cat lady could also be Art's mother, making him and Emily siblings. So it could be that Art is part of a family of circus performers. He was born evil, killed his sister, which drove his mother insane enough to not recognize him with his makeup, and that's that. It's a cool idea. I mean, it gives him some history that makes sense without making him sympathetic or giving him motivation. He's just evil. Just an aside, it's also thought that the little pale girl is just a demon using the form of Emily Crane, so it's not actually her he's seeing. Anyway, do we have evidence that the cat lady from Terrifier could have been a circus performer? That's important, because if he does come from a long line of circus performers, then there has to be some evidence that she's a circus girlie too. Sorry, another aside here. I rewatched all the movies for this, and it made me laugh so much that part of the warning for Terrifier includes smoking. Like, my guy, that's a non-issue in this movie. No one is watching a woman get sawn in half and going, well, at least no one's smoking. Anyway, back to the cat lady. There's something she says to Tara that I find interesting. Your eyes tell me everything. Her eyes are brown, so are Tara's and Sienna's. Could she be hinting at the idea that Art is targeting women who look a specific way? They do look like they could be related. If the cat lady is his mother, which would track since serial killers often have mummy issues, then maybe he's targeting women who look like his mother. There's also the fact that when we see the cat lady in this scene, she's got makeup all around her. This could be a reference to the fact that Emily Crane was found outside a makeup truck in the circus. It seems fairly certain that the cat lady is Emily's mother, and when she's confronted with Art holding the Emily doll, she says, "Don't hurt my little girl, and you're frightening her. Can't you see that?" To me, saying you're frightening her seems like she's appealing to any part of Art that cares about Emily. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing you say to a random killer you don't know. That suggests a prior relationship. It would make sense then if he was Emily's brother and therefore Cat Lady's son. This is also reinforced when he wears that torso. Awful sentence. That's very Ed Gein of him. Very much the genre of serial killer with mummy issues. The only question then is why kill the cat lady then? Why not have killed her earlier? There's also not a huge build up to him killing her, which seems out of place if that's his own mum. Though it could just be because he truly does not care about her. She's just another victim to him. We also see Tara's body adorned with lights and a circus sign, so obviously the circus is being emphasized. It's no coincidence that he's a mime, or clown, or both, whatever he is. The fact that Emily Crane was part of a family of circus performers, Art is a mime, and the cat lady has what looks like theatre makeup cannot be a coincidence. When we get to the second movie is when we meet the demon who looks like Emily Crane. She has a psychic connection to Art, Sienna, and Jonathan. They all see her when no one else seems to. We see that Sienna is already plagued with anxiety and psychotic symptoms when she has a panic attack at school when her friends Ali and Brooke talk about the news presenter killed by Vicky. Ali. As soon as I saw her when rewatching, my heart broke again. She was so nice and bright. I swear her death is one of the most brutal. Anyway, Sienna's brother is already obsessed with Art the Clown, worrying he'll come back. Sienna then sees Art in her dreams and at the Halloween store. Just an aside, the cashier, Ricky, retail's hard enough. He is so done with it when Art's taking out his little coins. That's real. Then Sienna and Brooke go to a party, and the song that's playing is Pain by Boy Harsher. I don't think that tells us much. I just fucking love the guitar riff. The party is where Sienna also sees the little pale girl, establishing a clear psychic connection that appears to link Art, Jonathan, Sienna, and their father. Okay, hear me out. This is a loose one, but could Sienna and Art be half siblings? Could Sienna's father have had an affair with the cat lady or had a baby with her before he met Sienna's mother? There's not a ton of evidence for this, aside from the running theme of brother-sister relationships and the fact that Sienna's father knew about Art before he was a known serial killer. It also depends on how old Art is, and to be honest, that we don't know. Anyway, eventually they're lured to the Terrifier, and I've got to take a moment to appreciate Brooke. Incredible. Every time I watch it, I think, go on, Brooke, you can take him. My dumbass knowing full well she dies brutally. Something I noticed during all this, when Sienna confronts Art, is that even when he's being beaten and obviously hurt, he's still fully silent, not a peep. So maybe there's something up with his vocal cords. I mean, you wouldn't expect someone to scream out involuntarily if hit in the back with a nail bat. That tells us something in his history made him fully mute. And it might not be a choice, but something making him physically incapable of making sound. We also see another instance of Art actually being so much more of a coward than Sienna. Sienna fully shields Jonathan, getting herself flayed in the process. When Jonathan pulls out a gun on Art, he puts his hands up like, oops, was that me? He uses underhand tactics to make sure his victims can't fight back, like fluoric acid and ambushing them with guns when they get an upper hand. At the end of Terrifier 2, the supernatural shit really ramps up when Vicky gives birth to Art's decapitated head. Also, just what is that nurse doing going in without backup? My guy, my sister and Satan. Why would you see a woman caressing a head and go in alone? So, Terrifier 3 opens with one of my favourite scenes. It really says, Art is not your friend. He's not got any mercy, and puts you in the position of a young child encountering him. The lack of music is also really effective. Much of Terrifier 3 just establishes that the demons are using Art as a vessel, and Sienna is his counterpart. We know that she's got help from a higher power when she heals. I also think it's weird that before Jonathan's death, when he's called by his uncle, he sounds weird on the phone. They made a point in Terrifier 2 to show his voice specifically being imitated. I also just think if he really did die, we'd see his death, right? He's a very significant character, and for them to show his voice sounding odd on the phone before we supposedly see his skull just seems off. It is possible he's just dead, but I really don't think so, especially since there was a fake out with Gabby. Why wouldn't they do another fake out to get to Sienna? After watching the main 3 movies, I went back to All Hallows Eve. This is the first instance of Art the Clown. If you don't know, All Hallows Eve is an anthology tied together by a babysitter and a kid she's looking after, finding a creepy VHS tape and ill-advisedly watching it. The first video is a woman getting harassed by Art on a train station. His design here is oddly more human. We can see skin on his arms and his proportions aren't as exaggerated. So that makes it seem like it could be before the main movies. However, his eyes glow, so it looks like he must have already been revived by this point. Though really, All Hallows Eve isn't canon to the main movies. It does show the themes and early ideas behind Terrifier, though. We've got brunettes being kidnapped, demons, Art himself. Satan, and grimy underground settings. One of the kids, Timmy, likes it way too much. Then the little girl, Tia, says something interesting. He wasn't really a monster if you think about it, like a vampire or a werewolf. He was just a man in a costume. This importantly establishes the idea that Art is at least meant to have started as a human serial killer. He didn't always have supernatural abilities. In the second movie of the anthology, a woman called Caroline has moved to a new place with her husband John, who is an artist. He painted art, but doesn't remember doing it, which is interesting since it sounds like Sienna's dad's experience of drawing art and other premonitions. It's also interesting that Caroline's husband is called Jonathan, like Sienna's brother. Could Jonathan have survived and be painting art in the future? Or more likely, the character just inspired the character of Michael, Sienna's dad. Something about the second movie unsettles me. Like, it's goofy and kind of stupid, but it's so out of place. There was originally meant to be a puppet in this one, but we got an alien. It could totally just be art or something in a costume, and it's not canon, so it's not important here, but there's something eerie about the design, and the fact that it's an alien is so out of place in the series. There's no other alien references I could find in the franchise, so it's like it's infiltrated a space it doesn't belong in. Anyway, the third movie is about a woman trying to get to New York in the middle of the night on Halloween. It's probably my favourite of the anthology movies. It's your classic woman getting chased by a serial killer slash demon and trying to escape. What's interesting though is that the words carved onto her at the end are the same as those Vicky writes on the wall in the hospital. So after all that, after rewatching and analysing all the movies, what do we know about Art the Clown? Not much, honestly. He was probably a circus performer born into a family of performers, perhaps based in the fairground where the Terrifier is located. Emily Crane could have been a sister, the cat lady being his mother. This is something I think is fairly likely, or at least they're related, given the article about Emily. I think he was probably always an evil little shit, to be honest. That tracks for his character and what Damien Leone seems to be trying to do. Now he's been picked by demons as a vessel because he's so depraved and evil, and Sienna's picked by the good side because of her strength and resilience. I think it's good that we don't have a whole lot to go on, just tiny fragments, because that adds to the mystery and makes him scarier. It's why Michael Myers, The Shape, was so effective. When we know too much about Killer's background, they become less scary. Still, it's always fun to theorize. It also makes Sienna more interesting. We do know a lot about her, as we should. She's the hero. We know about her father, how she has a history of psychotic symptoms. We know she's an artist. It's important to relate to the heroes, so we need to know who they are and what they stand for. We don't need to know that about villains, just that they're evil and entertaining. Well, that's all I can figure out about Art the Clown, ready for Terrifier 4. Let me know your theories. Bye!